perfect vacation, perfect moment, perfect family. So, how is this impacting us mentally?
When you see someone else perfect, I think human beings, as human beings, we start feeling like we don't have that. So a sense of lack becomes very prominent for us. So when we see someone or something is perfect, I think our perceptions are as if this is something that is the real, the truth. And our brain slowly stops being able to decipher the real from the virtual. So the boundary becomes blurred. And so that starts becoming a part of what we see. It's not real. B, there's always going to be someone else who will always look thinner, prettier, etc., etc. And you will always aspire for that. It has a huge influence. How we use the influence is what makes all the difference.
A blender ad might just crop up, then someone is selling a course, somebody is selling, some automatically color changing lipstick. How do you feel these marketers are using social media, as a tool to actually influence people? And do you feel social media is uh, psychologically, persuading us to spend more and more?
If you set out on the road and if I just give you a small instruction, just notice all the red cars, your eyes will only go spotting red cars. Social media will use that simple principle, and with the same thing, if I want to show you whatever I want to show you, all I have to do is just suggest that. Let's do a small social experiment here. Just do as I say, not as I do. Right? Touch your nose, raise your hands upwards. I said raise your hand upwards, and you're raising forward.
Oh. Just because I saw you. Okay.
Exactly. So I just did this little social experiment with you just to show you on how you understand. You knew what I was saying, and yet you followed what I did. For a split second, you thought, then you said, because I made you touch the nose first, okay, and we did the same. And then I gave you a wrong instruction and did something else. So, see the power of seeing. Now, here is social media. Here is an image. You see me, I'm talking, the image is moving, there's color. So, all your senses are involved. So, within seconds, I can persuade you.
We always don't have control over, what is being flashed before us when it comes to the social media channels. Uh, we might come across violent content, we might come across negative content, uh, we might come across traumatic post. Uh, do you think it is making us feel that world is a bad place to live in? Do you feel it is making, be it children or adults, more violent, making us more depressed, and changing our views about how the world works? How is social media influencing our vision of the world?
I wouldn't go in that dismal space. I don't think it's just done like extremely made us violent and aggressive and traumatized and depressed. I don't think it's that. But I think it definitely, because as I said, it has a strong influence. It has worked at two levels. One is the awareness level. For example, what's happening around us, there is also that, like, the news. There is also responsible news and whatever else. So it's building awareness about some things. It's making us also do some good and valuable things. Like during COVID, there was a lot of focus on self-help, on what you can do, on reaching out to other people. So I think it did a great service. It has a huge potential of doing that great service. And on the other side is that it has made us more vulnerable. When you're more vulnerable, then any content like that impacts you in a certain way. So some people, you might hear people say, I got triggered by something. So if there is repeated exposure to violence, then some part or trauma. So some part of our old past trauma can get triggered or something like that. So those kind of things can happen. But what we need to do is really to strike a balance here to sort of see that what is this information doing for me and how do I channelize it into a positive message?
How to really save our mental health from the perils? of social media?
To not be engaged with social media first thing in the morning when you wake up and last thing in the night when you sleep. I'll tell you why I say that. I speak as a psychologist. The subconscious part of our mind is a very important part. If I were to give you the example of subconscious, so tell me, what did you have for breakfast today?
Uh,
There. You think, yeah, go on.
I had sandwich.
There you go. So it took you a few seconds to tell me you had a sandwich. This information came from the top layer of your subconscious mind. Okay. And so there are more and more and more slowly, there are things that are embedded in our subconscious mind. And this subconscious mind is a very important part that regulates a lot of how we think and act. Right. And first thing in the morning, because you've just woken up from sleep, your subconscious mind is very potent. So whatever messaging happens at that time, it actually, you tend to sort of play out of that through the day, which is why all our world traditions, ancient traditions will say get up in the morning, gratitude, so say some nice things because you just sort of attract some positive, etc. There's a big science behind that. And the reason is that the subconscious mind is potent. So if at this time you do this mindless viewing of social media, which is other people's lives and other people's, it takes you away from you. It takes you away from your inner wisdom. It takes you away from your space of inviting calm and peace into your day and life or productivity. The last thing in the night, again, as we are going to sleep, our dreams, the kind of sleep is based a lot on the activities just before that. So, in your sleep hygiene, I highly recommend staying away from being on screen at least half an hour before you go to sleep. Okay. It's a hard one. And the honest truth is that as a psychologist, I'm saying that even when I'm saying sometimes it is when it pings, you tend to look at whose message is it or what's that email that's popped in. So creating that kind of boundary is essential. And if you're able to do that, we take care of a big part. And having designated times when you will give yourself that permission for those 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever that time is, of engaging with what you want to see and not just allowing anything to come into your field of vision. So, if you really, even on Instagram, what are you really looking at? And you know all about the algorithms and how, if you've just seen something once or twice or whatever, how it just keeps popping and very similar kind of feed pops in. So, be very mindful in what you're choosing because you are unique, you are important. So make sure that you don't allow anything and everything to come into your feed, but you choose what you want.
And being mindful about social media's use is how we can tackle the social media and ensure that it's more positive that we get out of this medium. Thank you so much, Professor Arvinder. It was a pleasure having you for such an insightful session. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
The pleasure is mine, and thank you for picking this up. It's a very relevant topic, and I think it's something that you're probably going to put on social media. So, yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.